Someone in the comment, do you believe it is still worth it to start learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, etc. from scratch? I absolutely do. I do. What I would tell you though is you want to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript as a foundation for building apps and building front ends. But from there, you want to move on to something more modern that people are using, which 99% of the time it's going to be React. And so that's actually what I'm starting to do now for our tutorial. I'll go back to it. PlebDevs channel. Yeah, so literally the very next tutorial in this series is going to be React. It's going to be Intro to React. And so like for someone that's new, I would say learn these basics, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It's kind of just the foundation of, with HTML, you're writing UI elements that are completely static. With CSS, you're styling those elements. With JavaScript, you're programming those elements. You're making them dynamic. You're making them do things. So that's all fine and good. Those are the fundamentals. And then we get into JavaScript DOM. That's a little bit deeper with how JavaScript can manipulate the UI. And then async JavaScript goes a little bit deeper into stuff like interacting with servers and just doing different kinds of programming tasks that involve time. But these are basically like just the fundamental minimal things that you might know. And then we would get into React. And the thing is, React would tie all of these concepts together. And it gives you all these concepts of making UI elements, styling them, and then making them dynamic. It does it all in one framework. And it just so happens to be the most popular framework that is great for getting a job, great for building a quick project or even a highly scalable project. Python is good. I always say that Python, I think, is the easiest first language to learn. But once you learn it, there's not as much. I hate this emoji thing. Pops up whenever I do thumbs up. You can learn Python a little bit easier, but it's harder to do a lot with it compared to JavaScript. JavaScript is a little bit harder to learn than Python, but once you learn JavaScript, you can do front ends, back ends, mobile apps, desktop apps, Bitcoin apps, everything. I just posted a meme about this actually in the Discord. Where's this? Right here. Why you should learn JavaScript. Front end, back end, mobile apps, desktop apps, machine learning. You can literally do it all with JavaScript, and not just like you can do it all. It's like it's very normal to do some of the most, just the end-to-end of building a full stack app. You can do it all in JavaScript. And so I think that's what's really powerful about learning JavaScript first, because you just get that one language down and then you can go build a lot of stuff with it, which is really where you actually gain the skill, I think. So I have a course, HTML, CSS, Java, which I started many times and stopped in some moment. I also got Python course and also TypeScript. I have those 3 courses, but just think that is not anymore worth to learn and stopped in some moment. Yeah, no, I totally get it. When I was first trying to learn how to code, I started with Python, and I took 3 courses and just like ditched them after 20% and just felt like I wasn't going anywhere. And honestly, like in hindsight, I felt like I was just dumb. Like, oh, I'm just not really made for programming, because I would give up at some point. But in hindsight, it was actually that those courses sucked. Yeah, and AI, that is something that's a little bit different now, but trust me, AI actually makes it better to be a developer. It doesn't make it invalid to be a developer. AI just makes it way easier and way more enjoyable. In my opinion, I'm not afraid of AI coming to replace our jobs. But anyway, so yeah, I would take these Python courses, I would quit, I would feel bad, would feel like an idiot. But in hindsight, these courses, they sucked. And the reason why they sucked is because what they would do is they would be like, oh, okay, you want to learn Python, so I'm going to teach you every bit of the Python language from least complex to most complex. And we're just gonna go in order, and we're gonna take bite by bite of each new concept. And I think that's a bad way to learn. And what I try to do with PlebDevs, and what I try to do with the courses and my videos, is always like, I'm gonna introduce you to 2, 3, or at most 4 new concepts. And then we are immediately going to put them into practice by building a real project, even if it's a stupid project, even if it's a really small one. So we're gonna learn these 3 to 4 concepts. We're gonna immediately put them into practice. And then we are gonna push them and back them up to GitHub. And you will have, so I have 237 repositories on GitHub. A majority of these are just examples that I put down when I was doing X or Y or Z for the first time, right? So that is, and I just push it up to GitHub because I'm like, okay, maybe one day I'll forget how to do this, and I know it's on my GitHub and I'll have it saved. And I think that is a really, really powerful process there. Take on a few new ideas, learn them, put them into practice with a real project that does something, anything, and then push it to GitHub so you have it forever, so you can always look back on it and remember how to do that thing, right? So this is quite a contrast compared to like when I was starting. I thought that what you did to learn how to program was you like memorize the programming language, almost like it's another language. But that's not what good developers do. Good developers, they memorize as little as possible. And mostly what they're memorizing are concepts, or very abstract structures of logic and reasoning. And then when you forget how to, how to get current time in JavaScript. I'm like totally mistyping that. How to get current time in JavaScript. Like if I'm in a job interview and you ask me, how do I get the current time in JavaScript? Like maybe I could remember at the top of my head, but why would I do that? I'm just gonna go Google this when I need it. Really what I need in my head is like, why am I getting the time? What is the high level goal here? I think this also goes in the AI conversation too, because AI will help you with those little details. How do I do X? How do I do Y or Z? But it can't author something from scratch. It can't do anything creative. And it's really your agent to order around and do stuff. By the way, from all those, I learned just a little bit HTML, CSS, and not even going into JavaScript, but I kind of like it. Yeah, HTML and CSS is fun. CSS especially. CSS is one of those things like, I can show you CSS in like 10 minutes, but you really need to practice it for a few hours, play around with it, and say, how do I change the background color? How do I, add padding or whatever? And that's when you start to get experience. Just friends stops me and tells me that's not worth it anymore. Yeah, I fully disagree with that. I think it is absolutely worth it. And the thing is, like, maybe you don't want to become a full-time developer. That's fine, but you can become a little bit dangerous, and you can gain enough skills to do something custom that serves you for some specific reason. And you can have this skill set in the bag to do something powerful with it. And AI is not taking this away. AI will automate it, and AI will make it to where, writing your first lines of code is easier than ever. That's true. But it's the real differentiator isn't about those who know how to code and those who don't, which I think that's the fallacy that we buy into when we think that AI is going to take dev jobs. Like, that's a fallacy. Like, the better developers are the ones that are creative, have good ideas, understand systems. They are logical. They're just very knowledgeable about something specific, right? And that thing can be stupid, like D&D. You can be super knowledgeable about D&D, as an example, and be a terrible programmer. But you can still go make the best D&D stats or character builder app or whatever in the world, because you're just applying your knowledge from outside of the domain of programming. And then because you know how to write a little bit of code, you can then go bring that to life in a way that no one else in the world would be able to do, because you have this unique knowledge. So yeah, I really, I think that AI actually makes it a great time to code. I think that JavaScript is a great first language to learn. And from JavaScript, you go into React. React makes it a lot easier, a lot cleaner. And then, you can go follow along with my other videos and start to just build all sorts of different full projects in like an hour. Like here we are, Voltage and Mutiny Network shop, Bitcoin Core beginner. We build a basic Bitcoin Core wallet, Next.js app template, Nostr Wallet Connect, building your first Lightning app. These are all things that you'll be able to do with just kind of that basic JavaScript experience and a few simple projects under your belt with some practice. But anyway, that's what I'll say about it from a high level. I'm very passionate about this because like I was that guy. I really thought I wasn't smart enough to be a developer, and I'd given up a lot of times. But now from my current position, like I look at the people that are sort of in the sidelines, they're considering it, and I'm seeing the value in them, and I'm seeing that like, no, you should do this. It's not as hard as you think. If my dumbass can learn how to code, you definitely can. But a lot of it is just, it's hard. It's hard to do it alone. It's good, and it's good to have people to help you out and people to encourage you, and it's part of what we try to do with PlebDevs, stuff like that. I want to learn some of those languages and do something even if it's not so complicated and become the best developer. Just to work on this instead of losing time working some shitty job. And that's a great reason. I mean, that's a great reason right there. Like, you don't need to want to go change the world. Even just getting nice pay, that's a good first goal to start with. Or working on something that's meaningful, or working on something in Bitcoin. Like, that was my goal for years, was get my first programming job anywhere. Just get paid for writing code anywhere. And then my goal after that was like, get a job at a Bitcoin company. I want to work in Bitcoin. And they were both worth it. I mean, it took a while, but in hindsight, what felt like it was taking a long time, like me learning how to code, even though it took like way longer than it needed to, I still ended up ahead. I still feel like it was totally worth it. AI doesn't change it at all. And for the record, it took me like 4 or 5 years to learn how to code, but a lot of the people I'm helping with PlebDevs now, they're learning, they're getting as good as I was in 4 years. They're getting there in like a year and a half, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, at all, if I can do something to prove to Bitcoin and Nostr, and even if I don't get paid so much, I'd be more than happy. Do something important. Yeah, exactly. And that's why Bitcoiners are different too. It's like, there's a ton of fiat devs out there that could go make amazing contributions to Bitcoin and Lightning and Nostr, but they'll never do it because they just don't care. But on the other side of the spectrum, there's a bunch of Bitcoin plebs and just Bitcoiners that are, have such strong values and such a strong belief in Bitcoin that they'll lose money to come work on it. And this is what's cool. Like Bitcoin, the Bitcoin ecosystem itself selects for people with principles, because you could go almost anywhere else and make more money. So if you're here, that means that you chose principles above money at some point in some kind of way. That's just my opinion though. All right, how deep are we? An hour? Not bad. I've gotten through like 2 stories, but let's go. I love the conversation. These are my favorite topics.